Living a longer life has been linked to many behaviours like healthy eating and regular exercise. That's fair enough. But can a person's personality also play a role? Oh, now, Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, one of the most popular books about longevity, highlights the practices of what they describe as blue zones, areas with some of the longest lived people in the world, which include Japan. The book, written by Hector Garcia and Francesc Miralles, discuss how the things that factor into a long and healthy life aren't limited to what you do physically, that most centenarians, people at or near the age of 100, have similar personality traits that may have helped increase their lifespan, according to a 2012 study cited in the book. The research was conducted at Yeshiva University and analysed the characteristics of nearly 250 centenarians based on self-reporting and other people's accounts of them. And there are a number of traits which may help us to live longer. And if you listen regularly to this programme, you'll know that Dr. Johnny Bloomfield was on here last week talking to Frank about living to the age of 100. And he's back. Dr. Johnny, hello.
Hi, good morning, John. Nice to be back again.
Yes, are you well?
Yeah, we've been partying all week, partying hard with Granny Molly.
And when someone is 100, how many celebrations do you have? I know you spoke to Frank about this last week, but I'm still intrigued. You know, it's not just the day. It's not just the week. No. When does it stop?
Well, it was her birthday this day last week. So after the show last week, we went straight off to Lisbon, the Civic Centre, for a reception, which was pretty special. A big crowd out for that, and then at the weekend, my mother hosted a garden party, and there was a countless number of individuals at that as well. And she revealed that we're only halfway through the celebrations. At that point, there were 2 more engagements. So we're trying to manage Granny Molly's energy levels, but she seems well up for it at the minute. So she's at 100, and she's still 100 coming 19, I think.
That's brilliant, though. That leads me neatly on to this book, Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, which argues that it's not just about physical characteristics, it's not just about diet and exercise, that personality traits can influence how long you live. Would you go along with that with your granny? And the first thing they suggest is a positive attitude. Does that fit?
Absolutely. I mean, there is research done across the 5 blue zones in the world. So there's one in Sardinia, one in Icaria, which is an island in Greece. There's Costa Rica, and there's a community in California, and then of course the Okinawans in Japan that makes up the 5 blue zone. And there has been research to investigate what goes on in these cultures, what's uniformed to the ways of life that they have, and it comes as no surprise that physical activity, diet, sleep, stress management all play a central role. But there is also this attitude towards life as well, which seems to be very critical. It's centered around people supporting each other, and that really strong sense of community, which is, in fairness, something that we have very, very well in Northern Ireland. We're all part of our local communities, and whenever we were in lockdown, weren't we all looking out for our neighbours, our elderly neighbours in particular? We're fantastic at that. So hey, why not get Northern Ireland onto the blue zone list and make it the 6th blue zone of the world?
Definitely. And this positive attitude, one of the studies that has been quoted in this book, Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, one of the surveys that was conducted by Dr. Neil Barsili pointed out that positive attitude was crucially important, and that prioritizing peace and happiness was touted for its benefits on mental health, and that those who were optimistic, easygoing and extroverted, those who were referred to as optimistic, easygoing and extroverted, were those who tended to live longer. Again, does that fit with your granny?
Well, of course. Well, it certainly fits with Granny Molly for sure. But if you think about that, that's all about stress. We know that the more stress we have, the lower our life expectancy should become because of the consequences of living a busy and stressful life. It's about trying to find that balance between stress and rest and recovery, and having that attitude towards life where the four key things of Ikigai is doing what you love. What gets you out of bed in the morning? You have a life filled of purpose and passion, and doing every day, doing something you're really good at doing, so that you feel that you're bringing your value to the community or whoever you are that's serving. It's also what you're doing something that the world needs as well. So not only is it good and purposeful work, it's a requirement. The job that you're doing, or the service you're providing, or the product you're building, it helps people. It serves a need, and then of course, ideally, it's something you can sustain on. You can get paid for doing it. They're the four key components of Ikigai, and it's important to have all four of them. Ikigai is like the sweet spot, right, the bullseye, right in the middle of all four of those things. So you can have three of them, but not quite be meeting the Ikigai. And it's this like the Occanarians. This is what's central to how they live and how they grow, how they grow to 100, and many of them do and continue to lead active and purposeful lifestyle. And it's really interesting actually in the Okinawans, they do not have a word for retirement.
Wow! So it doesn't figure in their psyche at all. It doesn't exist.
No. Life is, I suppose, a constant balance between purposefulness and rest and recovery. So even at the age of 100, it's not a question of, right, I'm old now, I have to see out my days, in a certain way, or it's very much I'm still part of a community all the way to the end, and I still offer my ability. So they play with their great grandchildren, they tend to their gardens, they plant and grow vegetables, and they do things that still contribute and keep them occupied. And the one thing that Granny Molly said to us whenever I asked her what was her secret, it was all about being interested, keeping yourself busy. And busy, let's not think of that as work busy. It's just keeping your mind interested and occupied with purposeful things that you're passionate about, and again, provide help and service to others. And then she was very much saying, do not worry, slow down, don't worry, live for today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Try and live in the present as opposed to the past or the future. And Ikigai is also, it's an action. It's described as an action. There's a really good TED talk by a guy called Tim Tamashiro. So if you go on to a search engine, TEDx, and type in Ikigai, Ikigai, and it's all about, he summarizes it really well. Ikigai is a thing that you do. It's not a thing that you have or feel. It's what you do. It's just he created this list. It's to serve. It's to create. It's to delight. To nourish. To provide. To teach. To heal. To connect. To build. That's what is central to Ikigai. And
so it's not passive, and it's about having purpose, and it's about making a difference to people's lives. One of the things that I found interesting within it was that those who have reached the age of 100, a common trait seemed to be a high degree of emotional awareness. So not just getting involved with community projects, getting involved with making a difference to people's lives, but being emotionally aware of what was needed, of the requirements. Yes.
I mean, emotional regulation is very, very strong component of it. It's having that self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-control about handling situations that come up, making sure. Frank and I talked about 3 weeks back about amygdala hijack and trying to recognize symptoms of when you're kind of losing control, and catching that feeling and then breathing through it to regain your rational brain again, to overcome any instinctive reaction that sometimes leads to a bit of embarrassment or regret. So these people kind of have that high control, but you know why? It's got to be because they know why they're getting out of bed. They have that purpose in life. They have the passion for doing what it is they do. They know what it is they love. They know what they're good at. They know what the world needs, and they know what they can ultimately get, sustain themselves. They can earn a living from it. So really, it's about trying to ask yourself those four, or explore those four key areas, and then start to create little goals towards trying to achieve positives in all those four areas. Make a plan of how you can change behaviors, or start to introduce new things. Start doing stuff, stop doing stuff, keep doing stuff. That's always a good model. Find your support system around you to maintain it, and just try things out and test things that work for you, and so you can ultimately find your Ikigai.
Yes. Thanks for that. This has been such an inspiring day to be here. I'm lucky that I was able to come in today. Thanks, Johnny, for that. We wish Granny Molly many more celebrations and many more happy days, and indeed for everyone, for all of us, many, many more celebrations, many more happy days. I've got this text which says, John, my next door neighbour, Mrs. Johnson Lilly, is 100 tomorrow and still crocheting baby blankets. So congratulations to her as well. Johnny, thanks so much for taking the time to share all of that with us today. Thanks a million. Take care now.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, John. Thank you so much.